Okay, sober open mic here. I don't have a shirt on because I wanted to take this photo or this video really, really quickly. Not because I'm bragging that I'm down 20 pounds since, oh, wait. So I was in the washroom and I saw myself in the mirror and I'm envisioning this tattoo that I want to get made, which is going to be, I love you, Michael. And it's going to be the significance of my father in a wheelchair telling me in 2015 and 2014 that he loved me from that wheelchair with a pure love, with an unfiltered, right? Because he had handicaps, he was mentally not there, he was physically destroyed basically, and essentially his I love you, Michael was the purest thing. And I did not love myself back then at all, right? I loved things, maybe I loved my personality, maybe I loved that I was funny and people would laugh, or my self-deprecating humor, but I didn't love me and where I was at in life, and I was lost and I was struggling with addictions and you know, I'd had that DUI and all these things. So I'm thinking about getting a tattoo, okay? I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna get this tattoo. We're just gonna go like this. We'll just go down slightly. It's gonna be over here, okay? It's gonna be over here on my chest, like a pocket square to remind me of my dad. And I'm really looking forward to it. And you know what's interesting is when my dad died, don't worry, I'll get back to the original reason for this video when we're done. I'm talking fast because that's how I do it. When my father died, my mom and my sister, they each went and they got tattoos done, okay? And what they did was they took some writing that my dad had taken. And so in Pinoca, and this is funny because both in my dad's rehab and in the rehab I went to, we had craft time. So they would teach you life skills and they would teach you art and they would teach you, by the way, guess what's great about doing crafting and art? You connect to your artistic side connects you to yourself, you create meaning. You achieve meaning, which is the thing you're looking for in addiction. You're just looking for meaning and connection. And you get it fast by a hit of cocaine, and you get it fast by drinking, you get it fast by even like fast food, right? It's not as, maybe the spectrum there is not as bad as Coke and some of the alcohol use and even the opiate use, all of that stuff. It's not as bad, but you get that connection, right? When you have a milkshake, you get like that hit, okay? Art, crafting, exercise, walking, all of these things. So back to my dad. Let's land back in, okay? Yes, I know my hair is kind of weird today. Back to my dad. So my dad would create things for us in these crafting and woodworking things. And I might cry here, remembering him in his wheelchair. And I have these things in my house. And he would write on them, and it would say, I love Dad. Okay, and my sister has this on her arm. And my mom also got one on her arm, right? Like, love Pat. Right? And it was like literally his writing. And my mom and my sister are like, if you know them, they are not tattoo people. Like, they're the farthest thing. And I'm not even in agreement with, like, there's tattoo people, there's art. But there's some people that are less likely in terms of more conservative, religious, whatever. They're not going to get a tattoo. They got these tattoos. And I remember meeting them at West Edmonton Mall. And we got this tattoo. They got these tattoos done, right? But I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel like I was going to get a tattoo. I was kind of like, well, will I like it long term? Will I? And so now what's interesting is I'm like, I'm getting a tattoo. And I don't know if you guys can see so far in the story. And I know all this is like overwhelming if you're watching my videos, like how'd this guy suddenly go on a crazy sobriety bender for the last 4 weeks? But I actually love myself. And so if you go back to my story, the inception of Sober Mike on YouTube, the very first video I loaded up, I told everyone I was at Joey's, Sherwood Park, Maria was there, John was there, another friend Clint was there, and Maria and John and I had this discussion, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for different career options, I don't know what to do, but, and I was just frustrated, and then I was like, hey, but you know, I have been sharing lately that, you know what? Sobriety is my greatest leadership quality. Because they like to ask you fancy questions now on online application forms. So I'm like, sobriety is my greatest leadership quality, right? And then John and Maria just both have this, they're both like, you know what, I'm gonna have to do a whole video series on them, but they just had this moment of like, you have to do something with that. You have to do something with that. And I had a tingle in my arm, okay? And following that, I drove home in the vehicle, feeling like this was right. They told me, Michael, go home and don't do anything else. Sit down and write. Sit down and write about this. Okay, do it 10 minutes only, write about it. And here we are today with all these videos, and I'm starting a podcast, and I'm thinking about what, you know, eventually some sort of coaching program could potentially look like, and building a brand, to impact people on this issue, all because of that moment being like a tipping point for me. But now that I've gone off about it, here's where I'm getting to, okay? I said I love you to myself on that journey home from Sherwood Park Joey's. I said, I love you. And Maria didn't say to me, Michael, try this out. Tell yourself you love yourself. Because that would work, by the way. Like if you practice that over time. But this was just a pure moment of like, I heard a song, and I always connect to music. There's meaning in music, right? And the lyrics. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I love you, Michael. And so guess why I didn't get that tattoo, right? Like, this isn't the whole reason, but part of it was I didn't believe what the tattoo would have said. I wouldn't have believed it back then. And so I'm going to get a tat, and it's going to say, I love you, Michael. I'm going to put it across here, okay? It's going to be like a pocket square. Now, back to addiction. Massive story on the tattoo. It's absolutely a beautiful thing. I'm just really excited about it. Second thing, I realized looking in the mirror, okay? Here's the second thing. Sorry if you're getting nauseous because I keep like trying not to, show too much here. I can remember a very specific moment in my cocaine addiction, okay? So it would have been, let's roll through the tape. Let's roll the tape through, which by the way is a future way of dealing with staying sober if you have a craving, is you just roll the tape. And like, I might choke up here rolling the tape because if I roll the tape, like I can instantly, and I hope this continues, right? I know it will continue. I can roll the tape. So whenever if I crave alcohol, and usually I crave it. Also, thanks for staying with me here. I keep hopping from the tattoo to loving to, but everything is so connected. If you're ever having a craving and you're trying to stay sober, one of the best things you can do is picture yourself having the drink. So do it visually. This works for a lot of things in life, but do it visually, okay? And what you do is you say, okay, I'm gonna have a beer. Okay, I'm drinking the beer. Okay, now what? Play the tape through. So let me give you an example right now of me playing the tape through. Okay, I'm gonna have a drink of vodka. First of all, why am I having it? Not because I'm thirsty, likely because I'm stressed about something, okay? And if I'm stressed about one thing, it's probably a series of things, okay? So I'm gonna play that tape through. And I'm gonna realize, the way my mind works now, that I've trained it to do over time, it's doable, is that if I use alcohol or cocaine or gambling, I am actually adding a problem to my list of problems. So right now, I'll give you an example of problems in my life, okay? I've been kind of looking at different potential jobs that I might want to do, and I'm down to I got about 5 months living expenses right now. Now, I know for some of you, that's a lot, right? And I've been in sales so long that that's enough. That is enough, right? But I'm 36. I'm like, oh, I want to have a house. So that's a perceived problem. It's not a problem. I have some accounting issues right now that my accountant is literally being investigated by the police for fraud. And so he didn't file my taxes properly corporately, and that may actually lead to some potential CRA issues. And I thought all my CRA issues were taken care of. So what I'm telling you is that I'm telling you too many things here, but sobriety will not remove your problems. No. But it takes away one of your problems, and the one it takes away is usually having an exponential effect on all of the others. Okay? And so if I were to drink right now, let's play this tape through. I've been telling everyone on Facebook and social media, I've been starting a YouTube brand. I'm seeing connection with people I've never seen in my life. Not never, but so many in such a short amount of time. And so if I were to drink, imagine I have to tell my mom, tell my sister, I would cause them to be afraid and worried for me and all these. So I play all that tape. And not only that, beyond family, it's you. If I drank right now, I would be sad at myself, right? And I want to be clear about something in sobriety. I have not drank since rehab. That doesn't mean that some people don't experience it differently. And 6 months after, they happen to have a beer and then they're like, wait, I want to be sober. That's okay. You shouldn't do that on purpose, obviously. I wouldn't recommend that. But don't go to an automatic failure mechanism with yourself, okay? So this is in the book Psycho-Cybernetics, which I'll also talk about. And this is by the way, this is one of my like personality skills that I sometimes think is a weakness, which is jumping from dad's tattoo over to why we use alcohol and then here's a way for you to stay sober and here's this new strategy. But it's actually not a weakness, it's a strength, okay? So Psycho-Cybernetics talks about the automatic failure mechanism and the automatic success mechanism. So in our minds, when events happen, we're always filtering them through our past experiences. So for example, you try and get a six pack, you go to the gym, you do 3 push-ups and you're in pain. You can interpret that as, I friggin' did 3 push-ups and I've done 0 push-ups the last 3 months. Or you can interpret it as, wow, I'm really out of shape. I'll never get the 6-pack. I might as well eat. Like there's so many ways to interpret that. One would be your automatic success mechanism, which would be, I got 3 push-ups in. Wow, imagine if I do 3 push-ups every day for a year, where I'll be compared to now. Automatic failure is, I'm out of shape and this is too hard. So I think with being sober, we're gonna talk about this more. If you happen to have they say lapse and relapse, right? If that happens, you have full permission to just be sober again. Right, what about that? Just in case because I know that there's something about my story where like, oh, he's been sober 70 months, that's pretty hard to do. That's statistically unlikely. And yes, it is, but it's doable. But I just wanted you to think of that. Like, it's okay to just be sober. All right? So now my final point. And thanks for listening to these rambles, and putting up with I had no shirt on, I just go to the shower. Here's my final point. So in 2015, there was a point. No, sorry. I think it would have been 2017. It doesn't matter, but it was basically the point where I probably came the closest to overdosing on cocaine. And listen, overdose is also a word we should talk about, right? It doesn't always mean that someone took an inordinate amount of a substance or a prescription medication. It just means that for their body and their tolerance level, it was a toxic amount, right? So if you gave my niece Maggie an entire beer, that would be an overdose. But most of us wouldn't die from having a beer, okay? And that's a whole other topic about overdose. But I was doing coke. I had been up since I probably started doing it 7 or 8 o'clock the previous night, and this was now 2 or 3 o'clock on, say, Sunday afternoon after having started Saturday night, and I couldn't get my heartbeat down. Hey, Mom, I probably haven't shared this story, so I'm here now, and it's good. I've gone through it, but my heartbeat wouldn't go down. My heartbeat was probably 160 to 180. That's my guess, just because lately I've had to test my heart rate for doctor diabetes stuff, so I would say it was probably 180, maybe even pushing 200. But it was way too high, and it was high for say an hour. And I tried to lie down, and then I couldn't. And so what I actually ended up doing was I got my phone and I looked up the phone number of a friend of mine and he had actually taught me how to sell energy in 2010. So if, I got good at it because of him, but he had a lot of problems. And, but he was deep down, he was a good guy, is a good guy. And I called him. I just said, hey man, listen, I don't know if I have to go to the hospital. I can't stop my heart rate. I can't. And he helped me. He was just like, dude, go make yourself throw up and then go lie down. And I followed his advice. And it worked out. It went out of my system. But even that overdose, close to overdose, where you're like, this is the first time I've ever wanted to call the hospital for my addiction. Even that time, I did not stop. Okay? So if I go back, and again, some of my, how you look back on your life and you're like, wait, did that happen there? Did that happen there? But you genuinely remember how you felt sometimes versus what actually happened. So my sister's the opposite of me. She'll actually remember all the details. Like, Michael, when you were 7, you said this to me, like verbatim. And I'll remember kind of how I felt. And so I think I maybe went a few days without using that drug, cocaine, after this, like basically close to overdose moment. And so what I wanted to tell you was I realized looking in the mirror, I was thinking about all the sobriety stuff. I was remembering looking in the mirror back in my apartment over in Westmount and staring at the mirror and going, there's something wrong with you, right? Like, you're not okay. And today I was looking at myself in the mirror going, there's something right with you. And I smiled at myself because I was thinking of the things I'm getting involved in, the conversations I'm having, and the ideas and the content and all of this rolling. And I remember that old version of me. And so I hope that we can understand something about that old version of me. That old version of me was not just using drugs for no reason, right? What was I seeking? And I'll tell you what I was seeking. I was seeking escape. I was seeking connection, right? And then once I found the escape and the connection, okay, I was then seeking to make it never stop. Do you follow? Okay, escape problems, connect with something. And cocaine, if you haven't used it, what it does is it allows you to think bigger. It releases serotonin. It releases all these things that we can also naturally access, but it just takes a little more work to naturally access them. And then you'll have conversations with people you've never met till 4 a.m, and you'll plan how to change the world, and you'll feel like you've just gained a best friend. But the next day you'll wake up at 3 p.m, and all of your levels will have dipped, and you'll never text that person. So imagine going on like the best date of your life, and then the next day not even feeling like talking to them again. And nothing has happened in between, by the way. You still think they're the greatest, but then suddenly you're like, wait, I maybe we didn't connect. No, and maybe you don't think they're the greatest. It's not a great analogy. But until we understand why until I understand, even now, I see it like so clearly, because I'm smiling in my mirror today, thinking about this tattoo, thinking about my friend Maria, thinking about my friend John, the coaching they do, the conversations we're having about life and meaning, and just positive. Positive is not even the right word, right? It's not like negative or positive. Fruitful is a better word. Fruitful, connected conversations. Fruitful, where they can challenge me and I can challenge them. Because that's more than positive. Positive is like, hey, next year maybe you'll find... No, these are fruitful, connected conversations. And that's what I wanted when I used Coke. And the difference is now I don't want to escape me. Sorry for that angle. I don't want to escape me. Right? And so because I don't want to escape me, I actually want to be with me. What does that mean? Well, me to me, healed, now equals me to others. There's way more to it. But that's it. So when there's addictions in your life, or if you have a family member, like say you have a family member, because I feel like eventually this is going to be a lot about who are our family members that have gone through this. Think about what they're getting from the addiction so that you can understand better how to help them curb it and work on that. So guys, I'm getting a tattoo. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. If you know a good spot in Edmonton, let me know. I'm thinking like right there. Sorry for that. I'm pretty vulnerable. So I'm thinking like, I love you, Michael, ILYM, right there. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to get some color on it. And Dad loves me. I love Dad. I love me. I love you guys, you know? And we're going to do a video on love soon, because it means a lot of different things in other languages, but that's the other part, right? In English, love is only ever used as love. What do we mean by love? And so if we can figure that out, we might figure more things out. All right, so thanks for sticking with me on this. I'm going to post this, even though I got the shirt off, because this topic needs to come out about I almost overdosed. Now I love myself. And yeah, sober open mic. Peace.